this? Hello? Testing. Hello? Testing. Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Testing.
Gotta get ready to do a show
hello?
here.
Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing.
What the?
Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing.
What the?
Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing.
What the?
Hello? Can you? Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Fuck. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing.
What the?
Hello? Can you? Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Fuck. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello? Can you? Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello? Can you? Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello? Can you talk? Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing.
Can you
hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello?
Oh, God.
Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello?
Oh, God.
Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello?
What the?
Hello?
Oh, God.
Oh, hey, Max. Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm trying to get this fucking... I don't know how to do this. I don't... This is... I only do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm trying to get this fucking... I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to start the show. Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm trying to get this fucking... I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to start the show. Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm here to try to do this. I don't know how to do this. It's not working. I'm trying to start Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm here to try to do this. I don't know how to do this. It's not working. I'm trying to start Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm here to try to do this. I don't know how to do this. It's not working. I'm trying to start Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm here to try to do this. I don't know how to do this. It's not working. I'm trying to start Hello? I do this by myself. Is this thing working? Can you hear me? I'm here to try to do this. I don't know how to do this. Testing. All right, everyone. So let's start the show here. Welcome to the Above It All program. I am your host. I'm here to do a show today. I'm also here to do a show yesterday, but I wasn't here to do a show. I'm here now. But I wasn't here yesterday to do a show, but I was here now for yesterday. It's just that yesterday is not today. Welcome to the program, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed. I don't know. Was that enjoyable? I don't know. We got Max the dog here, who's currently trying to unplug my Ethernet cable. So thank you, Max the dog, for doing that. So shout outs to Max the dog. Oh, there he goes. Yep. Got some viewers here. People are watching the stream. Can you believe it? Okay, so this is something that I have a hard time wrapping my mind around, okay? So I sit here, right? Here, I sit here, and I do stupid garbage, and then other people somehow they know what it is. Like, I can, like, go outside, I can leave the house, and then, like, you know, go out there in the world, and then eventually I might find someone who knows what this is. That's happened to me before, you know? You ever get recognized in real life? Has anyone ever recognized me in person? A couple of you people have done this. Man, that shit scares the fuck out of me. Oh boy. I remember one time when I was doing that protest coverage. Does anyone remember when I was doing protesting for like 200 days in a row and then all my viewers left because it wasn't entertaining for anyone? And I remember this one time a fucking cop pulled me over. I don't drive, so I'm just walking around. And this cop pulled me over and said that they watched my show. And I'm going to tell you right now, like at that moment, I thought, well, I had a good run. But, you know, so if you ever see me in person, don't reach out. Don't say anything. Because I might melt into a puddle. So, just throwing that one out there. But anyway, we have a show here today. I'm doing a program. A little bit of a showgram today. I will not be here tomorrow. I have an update regarding this weekend. Is that I'm not actually going anywhere, so it's not happening. So, but I'm still taking Friday off. So, maybe I'll provide more details in the future. But you know, things have changed. But I still want to take Friday off. Yesterday, I had a great day yesterday. Y'all, I want to tell a story, but I don't want to tell too much. All right, I might save it, a lot of the story, for in the future. But I want to tell a story. Yesterday I woke up and I was already planning on taking Wednesday off in my head. Now, I guess yesterday I said I'm going to do something tomorrow. I say that a lot. Tomorrow is just the next show, but some people misinterpret my definition of tomorrow for the real definition, which tomorrow is the next day. For me, tomorrow is the next show, right? So I just want to clear that up. Yesterday was also the previous show. So when I said yesterday that I would do a show tomorrow, you know, you should have known better. But anyway, so I woke up on Wednesday and I did a lot of, you know, this is something I usually try to do every Tuesday. Is as soon as the show is over on Tuesday, I like to ingest enough marijuana products so that I am still high until the end of Wednesday. That's usually my goal on Tuesday, because I like to take Wednesday off. So, and what I like doing is I like waking up, you know, and I don't even know is this a dream? Am I dreaming, or is this the real world? And then I have to do all these like reality tests. Or it's like, you ever do this fucking shit, you know, you ever like do this, crack your fingers, you ever like try to, you know, be a mime on the wall just to make sure it's the real world. I don't know, maybe I have psychosis, maybe I should go to a doctor. But this is what I do when I wake up when I'm on a lot of drugs, is I have to make sure that I'm not dreaming, because I got an overactive dreaming imagination, right? And so yesterday I basically just stayed in bed and played Fallout New Vegas for like, 12 hours in a row. And for those of you that don't know about Fallout New Vegas, first of all, you got to play Fallout New Vegas. It's an old game, you know, so it's not new. You know, I don't play anything new. But man, oh man, I've been getting back into Fallout New Vegas recently. And yesterday I dedicated the whole day to it. I was like, fuck it. I'm going in. I'm playing this shit like I'm fucking, whenever that game came out, whenever I played it the first time. I forget how old I was, like 13, 14, I forget. Maybe at 13, I don't know. Man, oh man, that game was great. So, now we're here. So that was my off day. What did y'all do on Wednesday? So this is where you tell me, what did you do on Wednesday? I don't know. What were you doing? Anything? Anything interesting? Nothing? You got nothing? How come no one's telling me? Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? I'm trying to ask a goddamn fucking question. Like, I'm just trying to, like, say hello. I'm trying to, like, you know, this is a social interaction now. Like, got Iron Brigade. Okay. I still haven't played that. But I know, I remember you mentioning that a couple of years ago, I guess, when you were setting it up or something. Discord question mark. I don't know how to respond to that. I was at home. My day sucked. I'm sorry to hear that. I worked or something like that. That's a shame. Chillin'. I cried all day because I missed you. Well, that's a shame. But yeah, so I want to also real quick, and I'm going to save this more for later, but one thing I want to share, before that though, I got to share, you know, subscribe to my other YouTube channel. I'm trying to get monetized on this bitch. Any subscription, any watch time, watch a speedrun or two. I'm going for the #1 slot, y'all. As if, you know, it doesn't really mean anything, but I think it's fun. Currently #2, so help me out trying to get monetized, all that bitch ass shit. But one thing is that I've tried, one of my life goals this year, and I want to share this with everyone, is I want to learn how to enjoy video games again. Now, I don't know if people understand what that means, but for a long time, I was like a streamer as a job, and I would stream, you know, like 18 hours a day, and I would play video games all day. And because of that, I started hating video games, and I forgot like how to enjoy them, and I just like and I just didn't really play video games for many years. That's when I started this politics show, was because I was burnt out from video games and I wanted to do something completely different. And you know, so over the last year, like the last 6 months, I've been really trying to like enjoy video games again. And I feel like I got that yesterday. Like I was just like able to sit down and play a game all day. And I haven't done that in a long time. So I don't know. For me, that's a big thing. So I just thought I'd share that. Mario 64 speedrun. I would never speedrun Mario 64. I only speedrun good games. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yesterday sucked for me mentally. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yesterday I had like there was no mentally for me. I was just like, I was in the world of the video game I was playing. Pretty cool. All right, so I guess this is a new show. You know, I did some wacky skits. Everyone loves that, you know. Remember when I did that video a couple weeks ago talking about how I need to do more wacky skits? Well, you know, there you go. That's part of it, you know. That's just, you know, I just came up with it, by the way. Just for reference, you know, I know there's a lot of newer viewers that watch me now. Everything I do here is improvised. I don't practice any of this. The only preparation I do for this show is I'll grab a couple articles. Half of them I've read before, half of them I haven't read before. And pretty much as soon as I hit start recording, it's all improvised. I don't plan any of this at all. And the reason is I suck at planning. I just can't do it. Like whenever I sit down and try to like script something out, can't do it. It doesn't happen. Whenever I try to like practice, I can't do it. Right. So, this is all improvised. I just thought I'd let everyone know that. Yeah. So let's start off today's show with some like stupid garbage, right? You know, because I love stupid garbage. Don't we all enjoy stupid garbage? I do. My life goal this year is to start roller skating again. I competed nationally growing up, but then arthritis. Oh no. And I'm itching to put on some skates. I haven't in 20 years. I've never done roller skating, but I've seen Rocky. You know, you ever see Rocky? So, just thought it, you know, thought I would share that I've seen that movie. Letterhack says, good morning, you're looking at YouTube's newest partner. Yeah, so this is a problem, and, you know, happy for you and all that, but I made my Doom speedrunning channel before Letterhack started streaming. By the way, who was the first Letterhack interview? Me, right? So, like just, I don't want to take credit for it, but, like, I literally kickstarted this person's career. It was all me. And now they've surpassed my second channel in YouTube subscribers. And then that's not cool, right? Like, I personally think that that's not okay. Not a fan of that, actually. In fact, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm jealous. I'm jealous, and so you should fix that, remedy that situation. Subscribe today. But anyway, what was I talking about? I don't know. In Letterhack's defense, it's a completely separate, it's a completely different genre. So when you think about it, percentage-wise, like, I mean, how many people out there, like, Letterhack's just trying to, like, oh, let me do all these interviews and scoop up everyone's different fan base. Really, when you think about it, Letterhack's cheating. I mean, this motherfucker is like, oh, I'm going to go around, I'm going to interview literally everyone, and then they're going to tell their audience to come over and subscribe to me. Ha ha ha. Ooh, look at me, I'm a YouTube partner. All because, like, no one's subscribing to the Letterhack because of the Letterhack's brilliant, ingenious commentary. Let's be honest, right? Like, you know. Oh my god. Well, you think, okay, check this out. Okay, so there's like a person out there that's like, oh, the Letterhack, I wonder what he has to say. Click. No, they're going on Letterhack show. Oh, what does this person have to say? What does that person have to say? Oh, look, the Letterhack's hosting exclusive moderator walkout panel. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, everyone subscribe to the Letterhack, by the way. I don't, you know, in case you don't know, I am joking. So everyone subscribe to the Letterhack. I do enjoy the Letterhack. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't really watch politics anymore. I don't really do that. Sometimes I do. But when I think, I'm going to watch a video that's politically adjacent, you know what? Letterhack's at the top of my list. So, there you go. All right, let's jump into some bull-ass shit. You know what I hate about bull-ass shit? Is that it's some bull-ass shit. That's what I hate about it. But anyway, Letterhack promoting voices and platforms on the left. Yeah, and yet this motherfucker brings TYT hosts on. Ho! Right? Like, okay, I'm just like... Oh my god. It's like Anna being jelly of Hassan. Yeah, that was what I was going for. Yo, that clip is so funny. I know it's like old as hell. It's like a couple years old, but damn, that shit is funny as hell. The bitch spilled coffee on herself. I mean, I've done that before, but hey, I've done it off camera. Just, you know. Anyway, can I start my show? Like, is this... Y'all are, like, continually, like, fucking spamming my chat with a bunch of stupid garbage that's making me, like, feel compelled to respond. Like, can I just, like, get it started? You know, am I allowed? I'm just asking, you know, like, I don't know. Like, maybe you want to just continue talking about stupid fucking garbage. I got a show here. Like, I mean, like, I'm ready to start. Like, you know, anytime, really. I mean... All right, let's jump in. All right. So one thing about the media and about politicians that I find interesting is that they love to, like, just make shit up. You ever notice this? Like, they just love to make shit up. Right? Like, they create these fake crises, you know, like, oh, the crisis at the border is a great example. Like, is there a problem that needs to be fixed with the border? Absolutely. But is it like a crisis that requires, like, all of America to, like, fucking buy a bunch of guns and patrol the border, like, and to shoot, like, brown people? Like, no, right? But that's what Republicans are trying to make it out to be, right? They're trying to get vigilantes to go on to the border and do all this shit. But, like, Democrats weaponize this, like, same kind of thing. And I remember seeing this a lot when Obama was in office, but, you know, that was a long time ago. I'm only 27, right? So I wasn't, like, you know, paying super much attention to the first half of Obama's administration, at least contemporaneously. But this is something the Democrats do, is they make up these, like, fake metrics and barometers that really don't mean anything in the real world. And what happens sometimes is, like, the messaging just gets lost in translation. And I want to show you a headline here. This is from NPR, so you know it's some bullshit, right? But this is from NPR. This one is crazy. So, Biden frames his clean energy plan as jobs plan, obscuring his record on climate. So, I mean, okay, so this is just like a lesson in media literacy that I'm here to give to you. So, when it comes to jobs, right, and when it comes to the climate, Joe Biden is awful on both. He is shit for balls on both. He's garbage. Like, he's an F rating in both categories. And yet, right, the debate in liberal democratic media is which one of his strengths should he accentuate? You know, isn't that weird? Like, that's weird, right? Like, right now, there are people that are Democrats that watch my show. I don't know. I feel like at this point, almost every Democrat that watches my show, I've alienated them. But there are a couple. So shout outs to the Democrats, the real ones, to stick around. They might be going like, but man, like, fucking, like, the jobs, man. Like, oh my God, how are you going to say jobs, man? Like the jobs, whoa, jobs, whoa. You ever see, like, Democrats talk about jobs? They just go, whoa, jobs, whoa, we got jobs. Everybody, so jobs? Oh, we got jobs. Everybody look, there's jobs. Right, you ever see this shit? They freak the fuck out whenever someone mentions jobs. It's like, you know, like a dog seeing, like, a squirrel. You know what I mean? Like, they just go, did someone say jobs? Jobs? Are we going to talk about jobs? Like, I mean, like, and it's like, they always say the dumbest shit when it comes to it. Like, so, like, what matters when it comes to jobs, right? What matters? Do you like where you work? Pretty simple. Do you enjoy your life when work is included, right? Like, and maybe that doesn't mean you have to be super passionate about your job, but maybe you just go to work and it's like neutral, or you like your coworkers or whatever, you have a good time, you go home, it doesn't affect you negatively. Well, we know that about 80% of Americans don't like their jobs, right? Like that's just, we know that, right? 80% of Americans don't like their jobs, right? And yet Democrats are like, jobs, jobs, jobs. We got jobs. You want a job? I got a job. You got jobs? Jobs, jobs, jobs. I got 30 jobs. I got 90 jobs. I got 7,595 jobs. I'm a job creator. I'm a job destroyer. I'm a job. Right? Like, and so, but the quality of the job matters. And they never mention that, right? Because it's not part of the propaganda campaign for the Democratic Party. Is if they mention the fact that every job that we have is paying, like, you know, reduced wages. Right now, again, there are some industries that are seeing wage increases because of labor shortages. Why is there a labor shortage? I don't know, because we have a pandemic going on that we're all pretending isn't happening. That's killed millions of people so far. Maybe that could be a possible reason why there's a labor shortage, right? So in some industries, wages have gone up, but in most areas, wages are stagnant. And also, when you factor in, we had like some hyperinflation for the last couple of years. Let's say you got a 5% raise, but cost of living increased by 12%. Is that really a raise? No, but they're going to pretend like it is, right? So again, whenever you see Democrats crying and whining about motherfucking jobs, like, you have to understand, like, these bitches are insane, right? And then part of it, like, and I hate to, you know, this is a Republican talking point that they've been using against Biden, so, but I hate to admit it, like, it's a good one, is that whenever you see Joe Biden and his administration saying, jobs, we did jobs, look at all the jobs, and they post these bar graphs. You ever see this shit? Like they post these bar graphs on, like, Twitter and stuff about how many jobs Joe Biden has created. First of all, Joe Biden hasn't created a fucking single job in his life. I mean, like the idea that Joe Biden is the job creator, that's ridiculous. But anyway, is that there was a pandemic, you know, that people acknowledged, right? And people were afraid of at a certain time. We've entered the cover-up portion of the pandemic because the economy functions better when people are lied to about the status of COVID. And we're going to be getting into COVID later in the show. By the way, COVID is extremely dangerous. That shit fucks your shit up. And you can have debilitating lifelong disabilities for several years to come. And we're going to be getting into that more in the next, you know, couple weeks. I got a bunch of COVID stuff I want to talk about. But, right, there was, at least in the government's eyes, an acknowledgement of a pandemic that resulted in people using quarantine, stay-at-home measures, work-from-home measures, etc. Right? And that means that there was a lot of jobs lost. Right? Right? It's just, right? And so Joe Biden, what did Joe Biden do? Did he fix the problem with the pandemic? No. He pretended he did. He covered it up and sent everyone back to work. So I have to ask you a question, right? Is it really a good metric? Jobs, jobs, jobs. And don't even get me started on this obscuring his record on climate, right? Like this one, I'm going to get to that in a second here. We're just tackling jobs first. So Joe Biden, what did Donald Trump do when it comes to COVID? Donald Trump motivated his base, which is about 20 to 30% of Americans, to be anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, germs aren't real. That's what Donald Trump did. What did Joe Biden get? He got Democrats and independents to also believe germs aren't real, washing your hands does nothing, masks don't work even in wildfire smoke, right? And viruses aren't real. That's what Joe Biden did, right? Compare Donald Trump to Joe Biden, right? You got three main groups in America politically. You got independents, Democrats, Republicans. Donald Trump got Republicans to stop believing in science and germs. Joe Biden got Democrats and independents to join the Republicans, and now we live in a country where 84% of us refuse a free, safe vaccine. It's free, it's safe, it works, and 84% of the country refused it. Why? So again, this is all strange because like we're constantly being told the economy's booming, jobs, 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 and yet everyone's getting sicker, everyone's getting dumber, right? Everyone's getting poorer, and yet, right, jobs, wages, jobs, woo, jobs, woo, jobs, woo, right? It's like, again, it's gaslighting, to use a popular linguistic phrase in Zoomer media. But now let's get to the other half of this, obscuring his record on climate. So let's read what NPR has to say. As part of President Biden's recent Bidenomics, which, by the way, can we talk about this Bidenomics, man? Like, L, like big fat L. Like I'm like, I thought Build Back Better was bad, but if this is like gonna be his 2024 slogan, I hope it's not. I mean, like some people are saying he wants to finish the job, that's his slogan. I'm not sure, but like they've been really doing this Bidenomics thing, like for the last couple weeks, right? Like I don't know if it shows it here, but like. You see it like, you know, it's like, actually this might say Bidenomics, but it's like, you see it on podiums, you see it like on these tarps that they put up, Bidenomics, but what are the Bidenomics, right? Like, no one knows. But anyway, let's keep going. As part of President Biden's recent Bidenomics, I'm sorry, it's so stupid, it's so fucking dumb, I mean, Jesus Christ. Campaign push, aides from across the administration and close allies have been dispatched to events across the U.S. to try to convince people the nation's strong economy is the result of the president's programs and policies. Now, again, the nation does not have a strong economy, right? The nation has an economy that's like, it's a house of cards, right? At any minute, this fucking shit, it's gonna fucking collapse. And I would say forcing people to go to work and undertake a mandatory medical experiment, which is getting repeatedly infected with COVID-19. That is a government-mandated medical experiment that they have performed on you. Now, I know a lot of people, when they hear that kind of language, they associate it with like the RFKs and the Alex Jones kind of people. But you know what? It's good language. It is a government-mandated medical experiment to send your kids to COVID factories. Right? When you are forced to go to a job and the job does not have any protections, like imagine if you went to a meat packing plant, right, and you were just wearing a bathing suit, right, and you're walking in and out of the freezer, right, or you know, you don't have gloves on, you don't have goggles on, and sparks get in your eyes. It is the germ equivalent, the virus equivalent of that. It's like if you were a roofer, right, and you know, like you're also like, I don't know, like you just lubricate your body in like in oil for some reason, right? And you're walking around and you don't have any clothes on and you're just like lubricated in oil, and then whoops, you slip and fall off the roof. Well, you shouldn't have lubricated yourself in oil. Bizarre analogy, I know, but I already said roofer, so I had to come up with some way to save it. But my point is, right, when you shove a bunch of people in unsafe working environments that, you know, again, they're getting infected with a virus that they're being lied to about, right? The government is lying about it. They're covering it up. The CDC and the White House have engaged in a full-scale cover-up of the pandemic that's still ongoing. And so when you factor that in, right, I don't know, like, is the economy really strong? Like, what is the strong part? Well, they measure it in what, GDP? And what is GDP measured in? Like dollars transacted, right? And if we have inflation and the value of the dollar changes, right, to the point where there's always more dollars being transacted, then isn't the economy always booming? It's just that the numbers, we just make the numbers, we change 7 to an 8, and then the number go up, and therefore strong economy, right? That's how I see it. Maybe if some professional economics professor wants to come in here and correct me, but I don't know, man, like, where is the strong economy? I'm trying to find it. Like, where is it? I'm looking for it. Is that a... No, that's not it. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I'm just trying to figure this one out here. The message sweeps Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, a law that includes $369 billion in climate investments, as a major step in the fight against climate change. Now, I just want to say this. It's not a major step. It's barely even a step. I just want to be honest with you, okay? This, like, oh, we're going to spend $1 on climate change and then pretend like we're, like, climate warriors bullshit. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy just signed, like, a 30-year contract with oil pipelines in Alaska, right? So it's like, what? I mean, and you can look at other stuff too. Like, I mean, just the idea that we're still subsidizing the corn industry. Really? You care about climate change and yet you still subsidize the corn industry? Really? Really, the corn industry. You're giving them free government dollars and yet you care about climate change. Okay, right. We're still giving the beef industry subsidies and yet they're going to tell us, oh, we care so much about climate change. If you give a fuck about climate change, you know what you would do? You would reverse all food subsidies. Why? Because then we could have, I don't know, a climate that is not being destroyed by mass methane produced, cattle, right, that are being fed on corn. And how's the corn being produced? With nitrogen fertilizer that's fucking up the goddamn atmosphere, fucking up the corn. So we're getting a less healthy corn that emits more fucking methane in the fucking cows that it feeds, right? Whoa, right? Isn't that a little, like, I don't know, maybe we would stop that. Maybe if the food subsidies weren't there, maybe other sorts of food growing operations would have a chance, maybe. Or maybe, and just hear me out, what if we subsidize regenerative farming processes, right? What if we did that? What if we did a mandatory government push for all regenerative farming? But we're not going to do that. Why? Because, well, Joe Biden cares about climate change, right? That's why. He cares about climate. Right? I mean, he cares about climate change. So that's why we're not actually going to fight climate change, because he cares about it. Jesus fuck. But the emphasis has shifted to the number of jobs created by projects, sidelining what projects collectively mean for the push to limit greenhouse gas emissions. So you want to know why, by the way, they're doing this? Why? Because no one gives a fuck about climate change. I mean, Joe Biden, first and foremost, doesn't give a fuck about climate change, but no one else gives a fuck about climate change. No one does. Right? But you know what people do give a fuck about? They love hearing the word jobs. Like the average American, right? And again, we have to keep in mind, the average American has like a 30 IQ. These are some dumb motherfuckers, right? The average American hears like politicians going like, your jobs are being goddamn, we're taking care of your job. We got Bidenomics, we got jobs, right? And the average American's like, well, I love jobs. I love hard work in America. Woo! Right? But again, you know, that's not even really correct, because 80% of Americans hate their fucking jobs anyway, right? But it's like, when you think about it, right, they're just going based on where the polls are, where the wind's blowing, right? Oh, no one gives a fuck about climate change, let's talk about jobs. Well, no one really gives a fuck about jobs either, but people care more about jobs than climate change, so whatever. Let's keep going. Take, for instance, a recent stop of the Bidenomics tour. Dude, I can't with this fucking shit, man. It is cringe overload. Where the president's top aide, Ali Zaidi, joined Maryland's Democratic Governor Westmore at a row house near Carver Vocational Technical High School. Bear with me. Technical. Students are renovating the house while learning green building techniques. Zaidi told NPR that the Green Jobs programs are making a material difference in the lives of Americans. Now, again, that's not happening. If you wanted a material difference, you know what you would do? You would actually have a vaccine mandate. You would actually have a proper quarantine. You would have not let COVID-19 infect 98% of the country, including our kids. Right? There are. I just want to throw this out there, a random fun fact for you. People that were children in high school that were repeatedly infected in the mandatory medical experiment with COVID, there are like people that are 15, 16, right? How old are they now? 19, 20-ish, right? 18, right? And they've got permanent disability, right? They got, low energy, right? Imagine going into college, which is already a stressful thing that shouldn't exist. The way college functions in our country is fucked up garbage, right? But imagine going to college, right? And it's super stressful because it's college. And also you had COVID 7 times in high school and you're just lethargic. You're sleeping all day. You're depressed. Yeah, that's happening a lot. So there's record rates of we're going to get into this later, just of all kinds of scholastic failure. But I'm going to save that because I got an article for that coming up next. We see it here in Baltimore, where folks are getting enlisted to help retrofit our buildings and they now have wind in their sails thanks to the president's climate agenda. Now, you know, I don't know about wind in your sails. I'd prefer, I don't know, we do this nationwide, and I don't know, maybe our buildings. What is our buildings? Oh, you mean government buildings? How about we do this, I don't know, schools? Can we do this to schools? Elementary schools? Middle, high schools, you know, just schools in this country? Can we retrofit those? Can we retrofit them instead of with climate technology? I mean, or rather, in addition to climate technology, with HEPA filters and and high quality HVAC systems, you know, that the same ones that they use at Davos and the same ones that they install whenever the president does a tour. And then with this, NPR asked, should Biden talk more about his climate successes? And the answer is no, because he has none. Now, should he talk more about his job successes? The answer is no, because he has none. But again, this is that weird gaslighting framing where it's like, should he focus on jobs or climate? You know, he's doing so great with both. When the real world, he's doing shit on both, and they just want to like parrot this fucking shit, shove it down your throat in the media so that it convinces you that this is the frame of debate. Like, if you're a fucking goddamn Democrat, right, and you want to debate Bidenomics, they're trying to like tell you what the frames here are. You're not allowed to talk about how he's a big fat failure on both of them. That's not allowed, right? But anyway, I just thought I would, you know, it's a little fun media literacy thing. You always see the media loves to like frame these things in like false dichotomies that don't make any fucking sense at all. And just kind of, you know, just kind of shows you how fucked up the world is. But there you go. Bada boom. And in addition, bada bing. Do I think it's just COVID that causes these long-term symptoms or being infected with any sort of virus repeatedly? Well, I'm going to get into that in a moment. I'm going to get a refill on coffee, so just bear with me for a fucking second here. Just for a goddamn second. I'll be right back. Give me a fucking second. It's going to be 30 seconds. Calm the fuck down. I need more goddamn coffee. This fucking garbage off. Is this thing on? Hi. How's it going there? How's it going, everybody? Hi. How's it going? Anyway, do you think it's just COVID that causes these long-term symptoms or being infected with any sort of similar virus repeatedly could lead to such conditions? So one of the major problems here is that it's impossible to know this. But what we do know, as a matter of fact, is COVID attacks your immune system. Right? So, okay. I'm going to do a big brain here. Actually, never mind. I'm going to put it in the segment. Let me start with this one, okay? Just bear with me. But yes, I will. I got a big brain analysis. My brain, it's literally leaking out. Why do you think I wear headphones? Look at this. Why do you think I have these motherfuckers? Right? So that my brain doesn't leak out of my ears, right? Like, I gotta plug up the holes. Anyway. Because it's so big. Because my brain is so big. Anyway. Anna said my name last night on air and I nearly puked. Yo, Anna, I'm telling you, anyone out there, yeah, I'm talking about you, Ben Burgess, that's defending Anna Kasparian at this point. Like, okay, I just want to say this before I get into the COVID segment. All right, you know, I'm really high, so just bear with me. I'm going to be ranting and raving. Yo, so many people have sent me that Burgess video, okay? I know I've gotten into public spats with Ben Burgess, right? Now, I just want to say, Ben Burgess still follows me on Twitter. I don't know why. I don't know what. It's weird. It's a weird thing because I don't know, man. I've called him out so many times, and yet he just like he follows me. My opinion on why he follows me is because if he unfollowed me, he thinks I would like attack him for it, which I probably would in his defense. So he's just trying to like vaccinate himself against my wrath. And then anyway, this motherfucker makes like the worst video in the world, and I've only like looked at it a little bit. Like he made like this, I don't know how long it was, I forget, but I watched like a couple minutes of it about his like Anna-Kasparian's not transphobic thing. And wow, is it bad. It is horrible. Like it is like one of the worst things in the world. And I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to start like another internet war with Ben Burgess? And I'm like part of me is like, you know, woo, right? Realine, I already addressed this. Someone tell Realine I already addressed this, because I know this motherfucker's probably catching up. But anyway, man, like, Ben Burgess is like, I'm sorry, but he's thrown in the garbage bin. I mean, like, and I hate to say it, like, I bought his book and I read it and I liked his appearances on TMBS, but I mean, like, let's be honest now, Ben Burgess, I'm just real quick. Ben Burgess, this is my understanding of him even before he wrote one of his most recent books, is I always got the vibe from watching TMBS, and I watched almost every episode of TMBS. I think I started watching like around like episode 20 or 30. And so I saw a lot of his appearances on there, and Ben Burgess he desperately wants to be Christopher Hitchens. And this is the vibe I'm a huge Hitch fan. As an adolescent, I remember one of the first things I did on YouTube in like 2008 was to look up Christopher Hitchens debates. I love that guy. Now, obviously, he's got a lot of problems too. But, like, I always got that vibe from Ben Burgess. And then to me, it was confirmed when he wrote a book about Christopher Hitchens. Like, he wrote a book about it. Now again, this is the vibe I always had with him, like, even before he wrote, like, that first book. But, like, that minute when I saw, like, he is making a book about Christopher Hitchens, I was like, yo, this motherfucker is... Like, this is his entire blueprint, is he wants to be, like, the modern-day Christopher Hitchens, all bad takes included, right? But, like, the problem is that Christopher Hitchens is smart. Was, I should say, guy's dead now. And Ben Burgess is not smart. That is, like, one of the fundamental differences, right? And now, again, Hitchens had a lot of horrible takes, especially in the years before his death. But, like, he's a smart guy, right? And I'm sorry, just Ben Burgess he's not smart. He's just, and I'm not trying to be rude, and I say this about a lot of people. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to, like, use that as an insult. I'm just saying he doesn't have what it takes, but he tries desperately to have what it takes. And it's a big fat L every single time. So anyway, you know, I might watch the rest of his video, and if it's really bad, I might make a segment on Monday. But, you know, part of me feels bad for the guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of feel bad for Ben Burgess, because it's like his entire, like, everything he's spending his life on. To me, it seems like it's a fail. But hey, maybe he says the same thing about me, so it's fine. Okay, like, I'm not, you know, it's all good. He'd probably have the same opinion of me. So hey. But anyway, let's talk about COVID, okay? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Maybe he's trying to be Hitchens after he's dead. That's true. That's true. Like, he's going for that, like, that, you know, that premier height of the Iraq War, Christopher Hitchens kind of mindset. Anyway. Alright, I got this fucking article here. This one, I'm gonna go off on this one, okay? Alright, so we're going to talk about COVID, and a lot of people, when it comes to COVID, they are lost. They are lost. But I'm here to say, I got you, right? Follow the light. I'm the light. You know, imagine I'm not, like, you know, you ever play Silent Hill 2? You ever play Silent Hill 2? Right, I got Silent Hill 2 right here, actually. Like, hold up. Let me show you Silent Hill 2. I always keep Silent Hill 2 so close to me. Why? Because, you know, why not? It's on my camera stand. You ever play Silent Hill 2? You know that part where you're on the lake? right? And it's like you see the fog, you see the mist. You're Silent Hill 2, great game. By the way, horror fans out there, you got to play this shit. This is a COVID segment, but I got to, this is one of the best horror experiences of all time. But okay, so you know that part where you're on the lake, right? And you're like, where the fuck do I go? And then you see that light in the distance, right? Now that is your brain on COVID, and I am the light. All right, motherfucker. Because I'm sitting here to tell you, I've been watching this shit. I've been in quarantine for years, for many years, right? The most activity I've done since 2020 was I attended daily anti-police brutality protests for a lot of 2021. But that was mostly after the first round of vaccines and before the Delta and Omicron variants, right? So there was that like weird area in the middle of the pandemic where things were actually not terrible exactly, but then Delta came along and basically undid all the progress. But pretty much since then I've been isolated. I'm afraid to leave the house. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to deal with COVID. Now if you look at the numbers, approximately 98% of Americans have been infected with COVID at least one time. And we can look at COVID. What does it do? It destroys your immune system, which enables you to be infected by other viruses more, right? So a lot of people, they get COVID, right? Or they get COVID, are asymptomatic, don't realize they have COVID, and then get like RSV, and then go, well, it's not COVID, but they only got RSV because COVID basically destroyed their immune system. Right. So what did we do in this country when it comes to COVID? Well, I say this before. Donald Trump, there are three political groups in America: Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, all right? Donald Trump got the Republicans to stop believing in science, right? Do you remember 2020? Democrats were wearing masks and Republicans were having, like, the Walmart temper tantrums, right, because of masks or whatever, right? So what did Joe Biden do? Joe Biden did not solve the pandemic. He did not fix the pandemic. What he did was he covered it up and convinced the Democrats and the Independents that there is no pandemic. So the same shit the Democrats and Independents were mocking the Trumpers for in 2020. Do you remember that? Go back and watch like CNN or MSNBC, right? Any of these mainstream Democratic-leaning networks, and just look at how they talked about Donald Trump supporters and mask mandates, right? It was like a joke. And I agree, they are a joke. But now the pandemic is worse. Health outcomes are worse, right? The damage that it's doing to us is worse. The variants now circulating are worse. And yet everyone's pretending like it's not real. So this all crescendos into this. Because this is one of those things, you often see the COVID denial people talk about lockdowns harmed people's health. Kids can't do math because of lockdowns, all this fucking garbage. So anyway, let's check this one out. Students still struggle with math and reading despite the end of the pandemic era, study shows. Now again, pandemic era, what does that mean? It's a cover-up. I want everyone to really fundamentally understand the government knows that COVID is real. They know that it's real and dangerous, and they're telling you that it's not real and that it's not dangerous. When they said the pandemic is over, they're not going to change anything, right? If you go to any Biden event, you will see high-quality HEPA filtration, right? You will see industrial-grade HEPA filters, HVAC systems installed in any area that Joe Biden goes to speak at. Why? Because they know COVID is real and they don't want him to get infected. They know that it's real. They know that it's real, but they're lying to you about it, right? And so the COVID denialist people trying to cope with the fact that everyone's getting COVID and that COVID reduces your IQ. This has also been proven. COVID reduces your IQ. Now, again, I'm skeptical of IQ as a metric overall, but we know that it lowers your IQ. We know that it lowers your perception. We know that it lowers your ability to make quick judgments, right? We know it gives you brain fog. It reduces your energy, right? That's a fact. And so, the idea that it's a mandatory medical experiment, we're forcing our kids to get sick with a virus that we haven't studied over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Right? That's a mandatory mandate. What happens if you don't go to school? Officers with guns show up at your house and either send your parents to jail or drag you to school or drag you to Child Protective Services. If you don't go to school and get infected with COVID over and over and over again, literally your parents go to jail, right? So you are forced at gunpoint to go into essentially what is a concentration camp where they're undergoing a mandatory medical experiment by force infecting kids. Now, what could they have done? They could have installed HEPA filters and HVAC systems into every school in America. They didn't do that because they don't care. They don't give a fuck about your kids. They don't give a fuck about you. Okay? They want to see if they can give everyone COVID and see if it's not going to be that bad. Well, it turns out incorrect. Right? So again, a lot of the COVID denialists, the freaks out there will claim that like these lockdowns, which by the way, there was no lockdown, right? At best, there was a quarantine in like 5 states in this country. Now, in 2020 and in 2021, I lived in North Carolina. There was no such thing as a quarantine. There was definitely no such thing as a lockdown. There were no mask mandates, right? So I want everyone to understand that. Whenever you hear someone talk about lockdowns, it's a Mandela effect. They live in an alternate world that is not the same world that we live in. There was no lockdown in the United States. Now, if they lived in England, the UK, whatever, I'm not as familiar with their procedures and what they did. But in the United States, there was never, for a single second in anywhere in this country, a lockdown. That never happened. In some areas of the country, for a couple of months, there was a mandatory quarantine, right? But that's not a lockdown. People could still leave their houses if they want. A lockdown is you are stuck inside of your house and you cannot leave. Look at China. They did a lockdown, right? So let's factor that in. So there is no such thing as a lockdown, never happened. But again, okay, so there was a quarantine in some areas of the country, not the entire country, but like, I don't know, like what, 4/10 of the population total was in a quarantine for some period, right? But that was years ago. That was several years ago. That was several motherfucking years ago. So why are students all across the country still having awful test scores? Well, hey, maybe forcing them to get infected with a disease that affects their brain is the reason. Maybe these so-called lockdowns didn't do anything, but as soon as we opened schools back up and gave all the kids COVID and destroyed their brains during peak development of their brains, maybe that has something to do with it. You think? Maybe, right? It's possible. Students who struggled through the height of the COVID-19 pandemic between March 2020 and early 2023. Now again, the height of the COVID pandemic, if early 2023 counts as the height, what is the difference in metrics between now and January 2023? We're pretty much on the same trajectory. Right, but what happened in between that time? Joe Biden said the pandemic's over. And so everyone in mainstream media, they're going to listen to Joe Biden. You ever just real quick, you ever see Americans and they go like, I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. You ever see this shit? The government lied to me. I don't trust that government. They lied to me. But when the government tells you that COVID is over, oh, yes, daddy. Oh, yes, COVID is over. Yes, daddy. You ever see that? Like, you look at polls, right? And it's like, Congress has like a 19% approval rating. Joe Biden's got like a 38% approval rating, whatever the fuck. And yet when they tell them, oh, by the way, the pandemic's over, everyone is sucking their dicks. They're like, oh, yes, Joe Biden. Yes, the pandemic is over. Yes, daddy, please infect me harder, daddy. Oh, yes. The government would never lie to me. The government has my best interest in mind. And yet you ask them, how do you feel about the government? And they go like, I don't like the government. Dumb motherfuckers. I'm telling you, these are some stupid motherfuckers, okay? Stupid ass bitches. Alright, this analysis provides the most current evidence to help guide recovery efforts and resource allocations in support of schools, an NWEA news release said. While the pandemic is now deemed over, again, that's a lie. Anyone that tells you the pandemic is over or refers to the pandemic in past tense, they are lying to you. And either that or they're so fucking stupid that they believe that the same government that lets a fucking organized criminal fucking organization called the health insurance industry. They run our healthcare. They let a criminal organization known as Big Pharma run our healthcare, right? That same corporation, the United States, somehow when it comes to COVID, they have your health and safety in mind. Like I'm just like, again, anyone that tells you the pandemic is over is so stupid that you probably should ignore everything else that they have to say, because they're just so fucking stupid. You really think the government has your health in mind when they declare the status of the pandemic to be over? Like, I'm serious. Like, you actually, like, are you so fucking stupid? You've lived your entire life in the United States, in a country that doesn't even have a fucking healthcare system at all, that isn't run by a fucking mafia group, right? You actually think that they care about you when it comes to a pandemic? Like, I mean, again, we're talking about the, like, hey, I hate to say it. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Like, imagine actually believing for a single second that the pandemic is over. Like, you have to be dumb. You have to be dumb. And that's the thing, right, is you see all these conspiracy theorists that are now going around there saying, we were right, we were right, we were right. And you're seeing all these dumb fucks pretending like the mass sickness in our country is like the vaccine. The vaccine's causing... But no, how about, I don't know, 98% of the country was mandatorily infected with COVID at the risk of going to jail or being homeless? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. More people in this country have gotten infected with COVID than have gotten the vaccine, right? So it's like, maybe, I don't... Right? Like, right? But again, these people that even are conspiracy-minded, and yes, I will say this is a conspiracy. The government is covering it up. Now, that is a conspiracy. But not all conspiracies are crazy-ass shit. Some of them are correct. Right? And when you look at all the numbers are worse in every category. But wait, some people might say, but mild, man. It's mild, bro. Mild. It's mild. COVID's mild. What does mild mean? Mild means that it doesn't kill you in a couple weeks like the original strains did. The wild type version killed you in a couple weeks if you're unlucky, right? Mild means it has a longer incubation period, which means you can infect others for a longer period of time, which means it's more transmissible, right? And it also has a longer, right, effect period, right? You can get Omicron, you can get COVID, and then not really notice that you can't taste food until 6 months later, right? So the idea, right, that this is something to be celebrated is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb, right? Because a more mild virus is more transmissible, right? And if it's more transmissible and has a longer incubation period, then more people are going to get it, and they're going to take longer to get sick. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing people get sick now in droves, right? Long COVID is going all around the world now, everywhere. You see study after study. Long COVID does this. Long COVID does that. 1 in 10 people in the world are going to have long COVID. Some people are saying 1 in 5 people in the world are going to have long COVID, right? And it's like, how is this possible? I thought COVID was mild. But when they mean mild, they mean a 5-year onset of disease instead of dying in 2 weeks, right? And then the other thing, we see a lot of stupid motherfuckers that go out there and say, look at the COVID death count. Look at the case count. It's going down. Look at the death and case count. It's going down. Yeah, in the same country where all the Republican states stopped reporting COVID deaths. Like, okay, whoa, you're telling me when you stop reporting the numbers that the numbers go down. Whoa, holy fuck. I had no idea that when you stopped counting, the number stops going up. Whoa, that's crazy. So we live in a country where only a couple states actually count COVID deaths, right? And then people are like, oh, but the COVID deaths went down, so we're all good. As if also, by the way, there's only either perfect health and death. There's no in-between. There's no nuance. You're either the perfect, you're like you're fucking motherfucking like Michael Phelps or like whatever, or you're dead. You're nobody, right? There's no in-between. There's no middle ground. There's no disease. There's no disability. None of that exists. It's either your perfect health or you're dead. False dichotomy, made up bullshit, okay? And then the other thing is the case counts. Oh, you mean when they stopped providing testing everywhere and also they forced people to pay for the test? So when you force people to pay for the test, guess what? Less people are going to get tested. Whoa. And then also, when, let's say you get tested and then you have to report it to the government, how many people do you know are like, oh, wow, I just tested positive for COVID. Let's go report it to the government now. No one does that. No one does that. Why? Because they're fucking stupid. Because Americans are dumb. So no shit the case count's going down. Duh. But people don't know this because, one, they don't pay attention, and two, they're fucking stupid. They're dumb motherfuckers. They're dumb. I need you to understand, we live in a world where most people are fucking stupid. To not understand any of this stuff, it requires just not giving a shit about yourself, your family. You don't give a shit about your kids. You don't give a shit about your parents. You don't give a shit about your brothers, your sisters, your coworkers, your friends, your family. You don't care about anyone, not even yourself. You're a zombie. You're a drone. You're a sheep. Right? And again, why am I talking about this with this study? Well, again, turns out lockdowns are not the reason why kids are struggling. It turns out maybe getting COVID 90,000 times a year is why test scores are going down. Oh, huh. Well, you don't say, partner. The study used data from 6.7 million public schools, students from grades 3 to 8. The release said, according to the study, in nearly all grades, achievement gains in 22 to 23 fell short of pre-pandemic trends. You don't say! Whoa! Whoa! It turns out being infected with a virus over and over and over again makes your brain not work any good. Whoa! It turns out that getting a disease that specifically targets the brain makes the brain not work so good. No one, whoa, can't see that coming. You can't see that coming. Who would have possibly thought that a fucking virus that attacks the brain would affect the brain? Whoa! Breaking news science. This is crazy. Yeah! That's the average American because they're fucking dumb. They're dumb. Can you believe people have kids and send those kids to school? Right? Can you believe that? If you send your kid to school, I don't know, man. I'm thinking child abuse, but what's the alternative? Child Protective Services? I mean, that's an agency run by the motherfuckers that are in charge of the cover-up. So really, I mean, it was child abuse to even have a kid in the first place. You know, but hey, you know, maybe you didn't see the fucking pandemic coming, whatever. But if you're having a kid post-2020, I seriously question your judgment and your morality. And I'm just throwing that out there because I'm sick of coddling parents. This idea that every time a parent does anything that they deserve a free pass is ridiculous. If you're having a kid right now, I question your sanity. Why are you having a kid in the year 2023? Because you're fucking stupid. You're dumb. You're a dumbass and you don't care about other people. That's the only question. That's the only answer I can think of. If that's offensive to you, I don't know. Feel free to give me another answer. The performance gap widened in some grades when comparing students affected by COVID-19 and those before the pandemic, the data showed. The study found the students need an additional 4.1 months to catch up in reading and 4.5 months of additional instruction to catch up in math. Among those students, Black and Hispanic students remain the furthest from recovery. You don't say. You don't say. So what happens in this country where we have redlining and institutionalized racism that forces minority populations to often cluster, in major areas, right? And then also, what did we do when it comes to, like, let's look at public housing, for example, which, again, poor people are often going to be in public housing. And again, because of institutionalized racism, minority groups are more likely to be poor, so they're more likely to be in public housing. Public housing that was built with lead paint, for example, which also lowers intelligence, lowers IQ, right? Again, everyone's driving around with lead in the water, driving around with lead in the gas for a couple of years. We have lead in the water now. So that combined with junk food, we're giving every kid juice boxes every day. Did you know that 1 in 5 children have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because of sugar addiction? Yeah, that's right. All of our kids in this country are drug addicts. They're drug addicts, and who addicted them to the drugs? Parents. And the government said, give your kid orange juice. It's healthy. When orange juice is orange juice is less healthy than Coca-Cola, motherfucker. Like, I'm telling you, orange juice is a drug. It is a sick fucking joke that we give this shit to kids. Chocolate milk is a drug. And now a bunch of kids are developing food poisoning, right? Again, fatty liver disease and other such stuff. But what happens when you're not actually feeding kids food, but you're feeding them food-like substances, right, is their brains don't develop properly, and then also they're being infected with a virus. Now, again, I understand that this sounds crazy, but hey, the world is fucking crazy, so bear with me. So we have a bunch of people that are not developing properly because of sugar and drug addiction from a young age, because did you know that there's high fructose corn syrup in baby food? Baby food, by the way, controlled by 3 or 4 different companies, right? They put fucking fructose, which is the purest form, it's the fentanyl of sugar, right? Let's imagine that, like, table sugar, the white stuff, that's like cocaine. All right, let's just say that that's like heroin, right? And fructose is the fentanyl of sugar. It is the purest, rawest form of sugar we have access to right now. And they give that shit to kids in baby food. In baby food. In baby food. They feed your kids baby food that has heavily addictive, poisonous substances in it, that literally what we know is that when you give kids fructose from a young age, something that does not really occur in nature, at least it doesn't occur in nature to the point where babies would have access to it, right? How would you get fructose in nature? You break open sugar cane and suck it out. Babies can't do that, right? So again, how is it possible? Oh, because we're poisoning our kids from young age, right? So they're getting dumber and dumber and dumber. They're also drug addicts. And then we're giving them a virus over and over and over again. And now you're telling me test scores are going down. But don't worry, guys. None of this is real. It's the lockdown that didn't happen. The fake lockdown, right? The quarantine where like one school semester in some parts of the country, people didn't go to school. They just talked on the phone all day. That's what caused it. Yeah. It's not junk food. It's not sugar addiction. It's not 1 in 5 kids having fatty liver disease. It's not the average American child eating 80 grams of excess sugar a day. That has nothing to do with it. It's not COVID that destroys your brain. It's not COVID that destroys your immune system, letting other viruses destroy your brain. None of that. It's the fake lockdown that what people pretend actually happened that didn't actually happen because kids weren't allowed to go to school for 6 months. That's why. 3 years ago. Yeah, that's the root cause, everyone. No alarm here. No alarm here. Don't worry, everybody. It's not the food. It's not the forever chemicals in your water. No, 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 no. It's not the microplastics. Heaven forbid. It's not the smog in the air. It's not the wildfire smoke cutting off your brain from oxygen on a consistent basis. It's not COVID and other viruses. It's not the drugs that we're feeding the kids. No, 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 no. It's the magical fake lockdown that people pretend happened that didn't actually happen. Huh. Don't worry, guys. Everything's fine. And this is the real fucked up shit. Because these people that are in charge of this are also complicit. COVID-19 may no longer be an emergency, but we are very much still dealing with the fallout from the crisis. What does that mean? It's no longer an emergency? What does that mean? That means Joe Biden went up on a stage and said, "It's over, folks. Get back to work." Wait, so you're telling me 85,000-year-old dinosaur goes up and says COVID is over and you believe him? You trust the government, like I said before. You trust the government with your health and safety? Even dumber. You trust the government with your kids' health and safety? Like, I mean, you have to be dumb. You have to be dumb. You have to have a low IQ. You have to just be a naturally uninquisitive person. You just have to be a stupid fuck. To, for a single second, or as Joe Biden would say, a single solitary second, believe that the CDC and Joe Biden has your best interest in mind. If you believe that, again, do not pass go. You belong in a re-education camp. You're that fucking dumb. You're a danger to society. You are so fucking stupid. Also, again, 84% of Americans refuse the latest round of vaccines. 84%. So all these motherfuckers going out there, the vaccine, in a country where 84% of the motherfuckers that live here have refused the free, safe, effective vaccine. 84% of the country refused it. They're like, oh, free? Not interested. Safe? Not interested. Effective? Not interested. Interesting, huh? But don't worry, guys. It's the magical, mythical lockdown that never actually happened. That's the root of all of our problems. Let's not do any personal introspection. Let's not look inward and say, oh, what am I eating? Oh, how many viruses have I gotten recently? Oh, how many people in my family are routinely getting infected with a virus? Let's not look inward. Let's pretend. Don't believe our lying eyes. It's this magical thing that didn't happen. That's why. That's why. That's why. There's no such thing as personal responsibility in America. Right? Everyone just blindly worships the leader, right? Quote, these data reiterate that recovery will not be linear, easy, or quick, and we cannot take our foot off the gas pedal. But we already did. Declaring the pandemic to be over is taking the foot off the gas pedal. That is giving up. So don't worry, guys. We gave up, but we're not giving up. What? Disappointing as these results may be, it's important not to lose sight of the fact that things would likely be so much worse without the enduring work of educators and schools to support the student in this moment. How about HVAC systems? How about air quality alerts in schools? How about being able to have masks in schools? How about, I don't know, anything to keep the kids and the teachers safe? But they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck because, again, Americans are so fucking stupid that they think that the pandemic's over because they're stupid. They're dumb. They're dumb motherfuckers. The NWEA's recommendations include using local data to help students continue to recover, intervening as needed, and communicating important information with families in a timely way. Communicating important information, except for the fact that COVID is still real and dangerous, right? That because we're not going to communicate that. We're going to cover that up. The NWA describes itself as a pioneer in educational research. Yeah, again, it's a government cover-up, what's happening here. There is a mandatory medical experiment that is being performed on you and your kids, and the government is lying to you about it, and most Americans are like, yep, I trust the government. Yep, I trust the government. Joe Biden said COVID's over. I believe him. Why? Because confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. They want to believe in a magical world where COVID is not dangerous, so they have some bumbling old 89,000-year-old fuckface go on TV and say, it's over, y'all get back to work. And they go like, yes, sir, may I suck your dick, sir? Yes, sir, may I smell your farts, sir? Yes, sir, yes, Biden, sir. Yes, sir. That's the average American. Someone in the chat says, I think 80% had one jab. That doesn't matter. 84% of Americans have refused the latest round of vaccines. That is what I said. The latest round of vaccines was the bivalent booster shot that was tailored to the new strains of the virus, right? If you got a vaccine in 2021 of like March or April in 2021, I got news for you. That vaccine pretty much at this point is irrelevant. Why? Because the way the vaccines work is they wane over time. And also the virus changes over time. So the idea that 80% of the country got one shot, by the way, it was a 2-shot process. So getting one of the 2 shots means nothing. If you got one of the 2 shots, you didn't get vaccinated, okay? So the idea that that's a number that exists that anyone is willing to look at, to me, is fucking ridiculous garbage. Because getting one of a 2-shot process, and by the way, remember the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the 1-shot one? Well, yeah, that also wasn't nearly as effective, again, because the virus mutates, right? So that statistic is also bullshit. But when you look at the latest round of vaccines, the bivalent shots that are actually tailored to the modern strains of COVID, well, at least at the time that they were distributed in late last fall, 84% of the country, look it up, maybe it's 83% now, right? You know, the number can only go down. But as of March, right, 6 months after the latest round of vaccines, 84% of the country refused to take them. That's a fact. So, you know, just to clear that up. But anyway, I'm sick of this world. I give up. I give up. Now, I just want to say this. Is anyone thinking of the kids? Yeah, that's right. Part 2 of this segment. Part 2. Is anyone thinking of the kids? When I went to school, right, I'm 27 years old, right, just for reference. So school for me is still a relatively recent period of my life compared to some of my older viewers out there. when I went to school, I've said this story before, I was chronically sick as a child. I had multiple different sicknesses as a kid. And that would require me to stay home from school often because I could not be around other people, right? For my own safety, because I'm ill, and then also for their safety, right? And so I was taken to the doctor. I had chronic illness that kind of started when I was like 5 or 6, as early, like pretty much as early as I can remember, right? I don't remember a period like as a child where I wasn't chronically ill. And essentially, I was ping-ponged around doctors for about 10 years. And eventually, I had a couple of procedures done. I had some surgery and some other procedures, non-surgical, like medicinal interventions when I was 14. And it pretty much, right, that combined with other things, it cured a lot of my illnesses. But those illnesses, and again, I got a point here, came back around when I was, again, 18, 19, 20. A lot of those illnesses started to come back. And then I was without health insurance, right? And I was also not a child anymore, right? So it's not like I can depend on my parent to take me to 9,000 doctors, right? I couldn't afford that. So what did I do? I looked up how I could treat myself. And I just want to say this. I fixed my diet very completely when I was 22. Like, I started eating a lot of healthy food. I stopped eating a lot of junk food. And I still eat some junk food in moderation. I had some ice cream yesterday. Right? Don't call the cops, right? But a lot of my chronic illnesses went away when I fixed my diet. Now, the reason why I say that is because I know what it's like to be chronically ill most of my life. Right? And I still have the mental illness that is also the result of being chronically ill for your entire childhood, right? The mental trauma that is, I'm still recovering from that, right? But think about being a child now, right? When I was a kid, right, my school, right, they literally did not even believe that my doctor's notes were correct, right? I had police officers with guns break into my house when I was a child because my school lied to them and said that we didn't give them a doctor's note. We gave them a doctor's note, myself and my mother, right? Gave them a doctor's note to explain every absence. And my school just started saying, oh, we don't believe you. And they sent police officers with guns that broke into my house when I was a child. My mom is at work. I am home alone, sick. And I had a cop break into my house because I was not going to school, right? So again, like, the way we treat children in this country is fucking insane, okay? It's fucking insane the way we treat children in this country, right? Because children in this country are not people, they're property. Right? They're not people, they're just like punching bags that we all get to take out our fucking frustrations on, that we all get to abuse whenever we want. We get to send them away to daycare and we pretend it's education. School isn't education. Why do you think I'm as intelligent as I am? Because I didn't go to school. I dropped out when I was 16 so I could avoid having police officers break into my house. And by the way, I do have a GED. That test was super fucking easy. I don't even understand how it's possible to not get a GED. I know, I'm not trying to, if you can't get it, but man, I got a GED when I was fresh out of high school, and that shit was easy as hell. I wish I was allowed to take that when I was like 13 or 14, but where I lived, you had to be 16 to drop out, but whatever. Anyway, I know what it's like to be a child and to be neglected and to be abused by society. I was abused by my parents. I was abused by my doctors, right? They would not properly treat me. I had to treat myself as an adult, right? Because doctors did not actually properly treat me. They corrected some issues that I had when I was 14. Like I said, I had multiple procedures, but they didn't tell me how to keep those issues away, and then they just developed again when I was an adult, right? So I was failed by my parents, failed by the medical industry, failed by the fucking school industry because they would send cops to my house because for whatever reason in their conspiratorial thinking, they didn't believe in doctor's notes, I guess, right? So I just want to say this. I know what it's like to be a child and to be fucking failed by society. And so when I see this fucking shit that we're sending our kids to these COVID factories, right, where viruses are even more ill, right, we're giving kids cell phones. I didn't have a fucking cell phone when I was in school. The first cell phone I had, did you all know this? The first cell phone I bought was when I was 21 years old. I did not have a cell phone before I was 21 years old, okay? But every kid in the world is now getting cell phones, right? Infinite social media distraction, right? Which also, what we know is that shortens your attention span, it destroys your brain, it changes the way you interpret data, and so our modern education is not tailored to that. Our modern education is still the same kind of education we had 10 years ago, before TikTok, before YouTube, before Vines, before all these other fucking short wave social media apps, right? And people, the way that they interpret information is changed, and the education system is not. Why? Because the education system fundamentally doesn't give a fuck about kids, and they don't care. They don't fucking... Now, again, there's some great teachers. I'm talking about the system here. The system doesn't give a fuck about kids, right? They just don't. They don't. And the kids, you know what? This is another thing I want to say here, right, while I'm ranting and raving like a crazy person, right, is kids do not have an independent, objective view of reality, right? Now, I personally believe that a two-person family system is inherently abusive, right? Mother, father, mother, mother, whatever it is, having only two parents is inherently an abusive way to raise a kid. That may seem like a hot take. That's my opinion. It takes a village to raise a child. That's why I believe that, again, like, look at, for example, you see a lot of Christians and right-wingers try to shield their kids and homeschool them because they don't want them to go to a public area where they can be exposed to different kinds of information. But what happens, right, as well, is when you have the teachers, when you have the education system conspiring with the parents to basically gaslight your children into believing a world that doesn't exist, right? So when you tell your kids COVID is over, what are they supposed to do? Not believe you? I mean, they're your kids. You shaped their worldview. You are the ultimate authority in their life. So when you tell them something, when you say orange juice is good for you, when it's not, they believe it. They believe it. I was young. I remember my grandparents, my parents would tell me, orange juice is good for you. Orange juice is good for you. Does anyone else have this experience where you were lied to about orange juice? Oh, it's so good for you. Oh my God, orange juice is so healthy. It's got vitamins. Yeah, it's also got like 40 grams of excess sugar that goes directly to my liver and goes directly into liver fat. Right? So again, like, the kids are being failed. Right? And it's society, it's parents at large that's failing them. And we have an entire generation now that is undergoing what is, and only I can refer to as a trauma bonding experience, where they're being ping-ponged back and forth. They're getting sick more and more. They're getting dumber and dumber and dumber. They got more and more distractions. They're getting more and more isolated. And meanwhile, everyone else in the world is telling them everything's great, everything's fine. Oh my God, the world, our jobs are improving. Oh my God, our economy's booming. And meanwhile, everyone's poor. No one's getting any of that, right? And it's just the ultimate gaslighting campaign. So I say this. I think that I care more about kids in this country than 99% of parents do. Because if you sent your kid to school during a pandemic and you didn't properly train them in order to, like, wear a mask properly, or hell, you didn't lobby for the school, I mean, maybe you fail, but at least if you should lobby the school to have healthy HVAC systems. We have a lot of schools in this country that still have asbestos in the fucking production of the schools, right? So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But ultimately, the children are getting the worst end of this. Because think about this. Right now, I just want to say this. As someone, I'm 27, right? So I'm caught in the middle on this one in a weird way. All throughout my childhood, right, I had an understanding of what normal was, right? Like, when I was an early adult, I had a somewhat vague understanding of what normal is, right? So when you see this urgent normal syndrome, right, everyone's like, we gotta go back to normal, gotta go back to normal, gotta go back to normal. The kids don't even know what that is. I got a little bit of it. Right? I have like a somewhat kind of vague understanding of what normal kind of is, right? Kids don't. They have no idea what normal is. They think this is normal. This is the normal for them. And humans have an incredible ability to adapt to even the worst of situations. So when kids are gaslit into believing that being repeatedly sick over and over and over again is the norm, I would get bullied in school for being sick all the time. I don't know if, do you get bullied in school for being sick all the time now, given everyone is sick all the time? I'm not sure. Right? So now we have an upcoming generation that has been lied to, has been forced to undergo a mandatory medical experiment, 2 of them, COVID and junk food. Right? Again, we put corn syrup in baby formula. That's fucking insane. So we got COVID destroying everyone's brains, and we got junk food destroying everyone's bodies that also, by the way, destroy your brains, and they think that this is normal. And if they adapt to this, it can only get worse. And that's why I make these kinds of videos, because I want the next generation to understand that they got fucked. I got fucked, right? People in their late 20s and their 30s, right, the millennials, we got fucked. But Gen Z, they got fucked so goddamn hard that it's not even funny, right? It's not even, like, it's sad. It's depressing how fucked Gen Z is. They never even had a chance. Millennials, we had a chance. We had a couple years, maybe 5 or 10 if you're an older millennial, right, to have like a somewhat seemingly kind of normal life. The younger kids, they never, ever, ever had that. So, I don't know, man. Kind of went off the rails there, but still, test scores not doing so well. I wonder why. Anyway, that's pretty much my show today. I'll do a Q-cock. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to lay them on me. Congress made Puerto Ricans Americans so that they could be drafted, and then after the war, the Supreme Court deemed it unconstitutional. That's epic. Yeah, Puerto Rico is definitely... There's a lot of really awful shit that goes down on there. Like, real estate development is big down there. All kinds of shit. Show is great. You are opening minds. I hate my oats. You hate your oats. No? Oh, you ate them. I understand. If you're eating oats, make sure that they're steel-cut oats. Steel-cut oats retain most of the good nutrition. Any other form of oats are going to be highly less nutritious because they get rid of a lot of the good stuff. So if you do eat oats, steel-cut that shit. Have I played Rule of Rose? No, but I'm aware of the game and I know some stuff about it, but I have not played it. I think I remember you asked that earlier when I was ranting about Silent Hill 2, but no, I have not played Rule of Rose. It's on my list. Early ending shows, bitch, it's 11:40. The standard for this used to be 1 hour. Like, motherfuckers, man. There's early ass shows. Y'all were getting fucking too used to those like 3-hour shows I was doing last week. The only place for actual COVID truth-telling. And that's depressing for me as well. Like, this is why, like, this is gonna be, like I told y'all, I'm working on, like, a very fun why I left the left kind of video. And by working on, I mean, you know, just thinking of all my talking points. But, yeah, COVID is the biggest one. I mean, the idea that the left, whatever that means, just is going in lockstep with there's no such thing as COVID, that's incredible. The same motherfuckers out there that are like, Medicare for all, woo! Medicare for all! Oh my god, I'm so moral and virtuous, I support Medicare for all, look at me, I'm ethically amazing, oh my god! And yet 84% of the country refused to take the latest round of vaccines. That's why I don't believe there is a left. There's just different brands of cocksuckers in this country. What is the trans perspective on puberty blockers? It is a good thing that it buys time to make sure moving forward is the right move, or do puberty blockers deny the will of the kid? What's a good age? I mean, first of all, I started transitioning when I was 21, right? So I did not have access to that as a kid. Personally, I believe whatever. I think puberty blockers are an okay compromise. That's my opinion, you know. If you want to buy time, whatever. I mean, I don't think that the downsides of puberty blockers are next to nothing, right? So it's like, if you just want to spend an extra year thinking about your decision, that's fine. Like, I have no issue with that. Personally, I think whatever the child wants in that instance, they should be listened to. That's my opinion. As far as what's a good age, that depends on each person, because each person goes through puberty at a different time, so. Like, if I could go back in time and transition when I was 13, whoo, or 12, whoo, boy-o. But, you know, I started when I was 21. Yikes. Majority Report, whenever they mention COVID, I know Sam Cedar has a good take on COVID, but I feel like everyone else on the Majority Report, like, when Sam Cedar isn't there, right, they talk about COVID in the past tense, like, and then sometimes you'll see, like, Emma do, like, that, well, you know, it's actually still happening thing as, like, a way to, like, you know, virtue signal, which, you know, all due respect and all that, but I know Sam Cedar's got a good take on COVID. Every time he talks about it, I'm like, yeah. But I wish he would emphasize it more. But, you know, what are you going to do? We should be using COVID as a framework to push for healthcare. I agree. And the fact that that didn't happen at all, like the Bernie movement, what happened with the Bernie movement, right? The Bernie movement collapsed right as the COVID pandemic was starting, right? And instead of turning into like, oh, we got to prevent the worst possible outcomes of the pandemic, the Bernie movement were like, yes, infect me, daddy. Yes, Joe Biden is correct. The pandemic is over, daddy. Yes, yes, let me suck your dick, daddy. So there is no left. It was all just a brand. People wanted to vote for Bernie because they thought it was trendy. What other conclusion? I mean, like, I wanted to vote for Bernie, right? Because I'm a left-winger and I care about other people. Everyone else was like, oh, it's trendy to get a Bernie t-shirt. I'll vote for him and that's it. They don't actually give a fuck. They're not leftist. They're not fucking communist. Anyone who claims to be a leftist and they don't know anything about COVID, they're not a leftist. They're just a fucking capitalist with a different brand. I know you like to joke around a bit on here. I don't even know why you would say that. Everything I say is really fucking serious. But I appreciate when you being serious on topics like you were today. It's refreshing to see someone just as passionate and concerned. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about COVID pretty much since it started. I mean, I started this show in January of 2020. Right? You know, I had no idea what was what I had no idea what I was getting into, but it was a good time to start a show. And I've been pretty much talking about COVID ever since it started. And most people, they stopped at some point. Do you believe the data that they get from the sewer system in local hospitals, since you don't trust the CDC and states reporting overall? Now, if you're talking about wastewater information, do I trust that? Do I believe that that is a one-to-one accurate report of the world? No. But it's way more... like, there was that thing I looked at earlier a couple weeks ago that found that wastewater compared to reports in Canada, there was a 19 times delta. So wastewater showed that the virus was 19 times as prevalent as their case reporting metric said. Right? Now, is that saying wastewater is a perfect way to get that information? No. Right? There are some people, you know, like, there's all kinds of ways where there could be holes in that system, right? But it's good. It's a good metric. And I think it's the best one we have at this moment. But I don't think it's, like, perfect. But I think it's sad that it is the best one we have. But I still wouldn't say that that is a completely accurate portrayal either. Yeah, just seeing that Canadian article, and again, Canada takes COVID more seriously than America does, so if it's 19 times Delta in Canada, God can only fucking imagine what it is in America, right? Trump was downplaying the pandemic the whole time, and so did Joe Biden. They're both fucking corporate sellouts. For sure. Now, I'll say this. And I've said it before. Joe Biden, when it comes to COVID, did worse than Donald Trump. And that doesn't mean that if Donald Trump got a second term, he would have been better than Joe Biden. We're comparing Donald Trump's presidency during COVID to Joe Biden's. Donald Trump had 1 year to deal with COVID, and he dealt with it horribly. Joe Biden's entire administration is going to be plagued by COVID, and he facilitated the mass cover-up. Right? So I don't know, man. Reminds me of the movie Get Out, but with Bernie shirts. Yo, someone needs to make that. You know, at least like a visual mimetic representation. I don't think we're looking for accuracy, but an indicator. Yes, I agree, Bob. That's the best we can do at this time. What type of propaganda would be the best to communicate to liberals that used to take COVID seriously? I don't know. I fundamentally do not understand the brains of regular people. And I say that with all due respect to any regular people watching my show, if there are any. I don't understand. I don't understand the brains of conservatives, liberals. I don't get it. I don't understand neurotypical people. I don't understand socialites. I don't understand any of these motherfuckers. To me, like, the average person in America is just like, I view them as I would view like a bird, you know? And maybe you can say that this is fucked up of me, but I don't know. We can debate that. Yeah, like, I like looking at birds. I like looking at squirrels and bunnies, you know, whenever I go on a walk. I love just saying hi to squirrels. And I view that in the same way I look at humans. They're just animals that happen to be a part of my environment, and that's it. You know, I don't really feel like there's much in common with me and the average person. And, you know, you can make your own judgment based on that if you want, but would I believe those numbers if they are showing infections are way down at some point in the near future? It depends on the surrounding context. Yeah, the work from home thing, is, I think it's still inevitably going to cause a real estate, like an office, and corporate real estate crisis. But that was definitely, that's why you see people like Elon Musk be so in favor of like going back to work in the office or whatever. Because if no one's working at the office, why are they paying the property tax or the mortgages? Like, so it's like, and yeah, that is causing a real estate crisis for sure. That's something I've been following, but not terribly so, because I'm also not in the real estate market, nor do I intend to be in the future. As a squirrel furry, this is a huge win. I love squirrels. I mean, not like that or anything. But, I think squirrels are awesome. They're like little dogs with cute, like, fluffy tails. Like, I love squirrels, man. Like, one of my favorite things to do is watch a squirrel just, like, stand up. You ever see, like, a squirrel, like, stand up? Like, they walk on all fours, but then sometimes they, like, stand up or whatever, and they're eating their acorns. Man, that shit is awesome. There's a lot of squirrels where I'm at, so I love looking at them. And there's a lot of rabbits, too. I love rabbits and squirrels. Like, they're just great. The surrounding context is 90% of the world population dies from COVID. Would I still believe COVID is going down? Yeah. If we finally, like, hey, and this is like, this is like the fucking, the shadow self, all right? This is the shadow self. Part of me rooting for COVID. Like, woo, right? Like, if I can stay in my bubble, right? And, I do it grocery delivery, and that, like, I know it's more expensive, but it's worth it. And I know it outsources, but hey, they're already doing it. They're already risking their lives anyway. If I can maintain my bubble while society collapses around me, which I know is not possible. But part of me is like, the sooner the better. And you know what? This goes back into yesterday. I spent the whole day getting fucked up on weed and other things, and playing Fallout New Vegas. And I love that game, man. I'm gonna tell you. Fallout New Vegas fans, where we at? This is my first playthrough in, like, since the game came out. Like, I played the game when it came out, whenever that was. I was like 13 at the time, I think I was 13. This is my first playthrough since then, and I'm loving every second of it. So, but that's kind of the vibe that I have. I mean, like, to me, it's just like I've given up on society. Like, it's just a matter of time until it's over, and I'm in it for the long haul. Right? Like, yeah, I've been here for 4 years now, almost, right? Give me 8, give me 10, whatever. I'm not, like, and the other thing about it is, like, I consider myself an artist. I consider myself a very creative person. And I've seen so many artists and creative people, writers, authors, musicians, they get long COVID and then they can't make art anymore. I follow a lot of, like, just, artists, people that, like they'll draw fan art or whatever, or like cosplay or that kind of stuff, like, and, like, they'll say they get COVID and then they can't draw anymore. Musicians, they get COVID and they can't play anymore, right? Like, it's just like playing one or two of their classic songs or whatever is too much for them. I read this report on the guitarist for Jane's Addiction is apparently, like, suffering from long COVID or whatever, and they're just touring without him. So shout outs to fucking everyone else at Jane's Addiction, just throwing Navarro under the bus. But yeah, you see all this kind of stuff. Like, there was this other report I saw, like, that the company that does, like, handles Taylor Swift's fucking touring has a clause in their contracts that the artists have to sign that says if you get sick with COVID, you can't publicize you have COVID. So, like, we're seeing all these, like, musicians, like, signing contracts that say if you get sick, you can't tell anyone, because that will drive people won't want to come if they think that you have COVID and you're screaming at their lungs, right? And it's like, I don't know, like, the only thing keeping me sane is my ability to be creative and my ability to produce art. That is the only thing that I have any value with in my life. And the idea that I would even remotely think of risking that for whatever is insane to me. And, you know, that's just my opinion. Like, if I were a musician, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to host super spreader events. And this is the thing. I'll tell y'all, I started my show in 2020. And I remember when the first round of vaccines came out, and I, at the time, naively believed Americans would all get vaccinated, continue to mask, and eventually COVID would be eradicated. I believed that. It's funny thinking about that. But, like, in February, March, April 2021, when the vaccines were rolling out, I actually believed, holy shit, you know, whoa. And at that time, I was planning an Above It All, like, meetup or like a live experience of some kind, right? Because I've been to, you know, those in the past, you know, 2019 and stuff like that. I've been to like meetups and I was like, I would love to do that. And I've started planning it. You know, and that's something I still would love to do. And it's just never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And, you know, I look at those other places, those other shows you might follow and subscribe to and give money to, the Majority Report, who do those in-person events. And I'm thinking, I don't know, man. Like, I think of that, and I'm like, if somebody got COVID because of something I did, I would have to kill myself. Like, I wouldn't be able to live with that. Like, if I hosted an event and someone that watches me came to that event and got sick because of me, I would immediately delete my channel at the very least. I would not, like, and to me it's absurd that people think that that's an okay thing to do. I don't know. I was a theater worker and my whole career is dead to me now. How can I go into a theater and spew air at an audience who are all breathing? I feel it. I feel it. Now the thing was, like, I've said this before, but like, and I kind of talked about some of my childhood experiences earlier, but the silver lining of being raised by a single mother who would forbid me from having any friends. I wasn't allowed to have friends. I wasn't allowed to go over other people's houses or have anyone come over my house. And I never really went. I went to school like maybe 30% of the time because I was chronically ill. So, you know, I'm very used to being alone. I've been alone almost my whole life. And so I'm used to it. And that, like, you know, hey, it sucked when I was a kid. But, I don't know, man. Silver lining of having an abusive parent is that I'm okay with being alone for extended periods of time, I guess. And that is something that I, you know, low-key a little grateful for. But, you know, still would have preferred a different experience. I lost a significant amount of faith in humanity. I lost all my faith in humanity. Like, I'm willing to say I have zero faith in humanity at this point. Like, flush the toilet, you know? We got floating turds in the bowl, and someone's got to flush that toilet. That's my opinion. I've had the same thought before. How can people not feel guilty? It's because they're psychopaths. Like, and I say this, now, I can give you my grand analysis, you know? Like, okay, so let's look at trauma, right? Now, we know, for example, you look at arachnophobia. Where does arachnophobia come from? Arachnophobia is an epigenetic mutation passed down over multiple generations. Let's assume 100,000 years ago, let's even assume 50,000 years ago, one of our ancestors got bit by a spider and died, and everyone else around them is now afraid of spiders, right? And so what happens when you develop a trauma, when you develop a phobia of some kind? What is a phobia? It's like an ingrown trauma, right? When you develop a trauma, what happens is it changes the epigenetic profile of your sperm cells, right? So what happens is, right, when you actually procreate, the genetics in your DNA versus the epigenetics, you know, was actually being passed on. If you don't know what epigenetics are, it's other stuff that basically interferes with the DNA and turns certain gene expressions on or off. For example, junk food. If you eat junk food, it alters your epigenetic expression because it blocks certain genes, and that's why people develop certain diseases, because they're a bit, like, that's also one of the reasons why cancer is a big thing, because it blocks your ability, your natural immune system to fight cancers off. But anyway, that's just a sidebar, right? So we have hundreds of thousands of years of crazy fucked up motherfuckers traumatizing each other, right? You look at the example with spiders, that's just one example, but also look at how parents, you know, let's just look at the last 5,000 years, right? Because 25,000 to 50,000, right? That's a different period. And 5,000 to 25,000, that's a different period. But let's look at 5,000 years ago, our recent history, right? It's, look at, like, 5,000 years ago is like, what was going on 5,000 years ago? Religion started being born. Woo! Religion, baby. People started to do, you know, they started to bring the kings. You know, we got pharaohs, we got kings, we got emperors, we got, you know, we started to develop hierarchies. We started to develop trauma. We started to, you know, enslave one another, right? And that kind of shit, just generation after generation, right? What is the most common coping mechanism to deal with childhood trauma? Forgetting your childhood, right? Now, I ask everyone in my chat, do you remember your childhood in great detail? I don't know. I don't remember, I don't even remember, like, my early adulthood, like, to be honest with you. Like, I have like 5 or 6 memories from like age 5 to like fucking 20, really. I mean, like real memories, you know? And I, you know, that's a whole thing, that's a whole can of worms. But most people, what do when they're traumatized? And this is also, it's a part of our human DNA. This is how our bodies function. When we become traumatized, right, we don't want to just sit there in shock, you know? Like fucking Cillian Murphy in Dunkirk. Right? You don't want to be that motherfucker, right? You want to just, like, in order to cope with trauma in the moment, right? Like a lion kills your best friend, you don't want to sit there and freeze, right? What do? You bury it, and you fucking run away, or you fight the lion off, whatever you want to do, right? So now imagine, we have 5,000 years ago, we have the advent of religion, major hierarchies, institutionalized hierarchies in our society, right? Generation after generation, right, of spanking kids, beating kids, forcing kids to go to enslaved labor, right, all that kind of stuff, right, generation after generation. Also, what is, our food is getting worse, our environment is getting worse, right, so we're traumatizing everyone, no one's dealing with the trauma, then they're having kids, they're traumatizing their own kids, by the way, then they're feeding kids poison that was introduced to our environment, what, 60 years ago, we introduced high fructose corn syrup into our environment, so congratulations, now 1 in 5 kids have fatty liver disease, a disease that it didn't affect any child pretty much ever throughout the entire of human history outside of extremely rare genetic mutations, right? Now, it's 20% of children have fatty liver disease. How is that possible? I don't know. Maybe it's the food, dummy, right? And all of this kind of stuff. So anyway, what is that to say? That is to say, I don't really have much faith in humanity. It's going to take one hell of a fucking storm to reverse this ship. And hey, step 1, acknowledging what your parents did to you that wasn't good. Step 2, acknowledging what you can do in order to fix that with what you have. And step 3, do the work. And everyone else, most people are stuck at step 1. Some people are like, yeah, fuck my parents, but they're stuck at step 2. And hell, I'm stuck at step 3. I haven't done all the work yet myself, but one of these days. That all goes back to say most people are sociopathic at the very least. I think it's the default in humanity to be sociopathic. Hello, Pablo? Yeah, you know, the show's pretty much over until, you know, once I'm done with the ranting and raving, I suppose. I can remember 2009 like it was yesterday. 2009, I was playing a lot of Halo 3, let me tell you. Boom. That was my 2009. It's weird to me how inconsiderate it feels like most people are in our society. Yeah. That's why I'm at this point in my life, I am pretty much fully misanthropic. Fuck 'em. You know, I view the outside world as one large zoo. This motherfucking dumb bitch just said bubble water. Jesus fucking Christ. I can't. I wish I never read that. This motherfucker just said bubble water. Lindsay is starting a new channel. Everyone keep your eyes out. Lost the key in the short distance between the car and the house. I don't even know if that's possible. That bitch lost the key somewhere else and just lied to you about it, man. I'm telling you. Unless, like, you got, like the longest fucking, like you live on, like, one of those mansions that you see in, like, those fucking horror films with, like, the driveway that takes, like, 9,000 years to walk down or some shit. Like, I don't even know how the fuck that's possible. Like, that's, like, a 5-minute fix. I don't know. I don't have cars. I've never driven a car. I don't have a car. You know? So, maybe I'm the one who's not informed here, but... Anyway, y'all, hopefully this was a nice show. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me. But it's over. It's done. It's gone. I got nothing. I got nothing. But the only thing I do have is, you know, I love talking about shit. That's one thing I do enjoy. And, you know, if I can help someone else. Personally, I give up on the yelling at the government is going to solve all of our problems thing that a lot of leftists love. You ever see those left-wing shows and they're just like, the government's bad because of this. But they never actually tell people how to, like, improve their own personal lives, like, in the here and now. Right? And then you have Republicans who, they love to pretend as if they're all about self-improvement, but they also just, like, they never actually give anyone thoughtful and meaningful solutions to their problems, right? The self-help Republican industry of pick yourself up by your bootstraps is just full of scam artists, right? And then you have the left side of that, which is just like everything we just blame on the government, and we do nothing to improve our own situation. So I'm somewhere in the middle there. Got to synthesize. Oh boy, Real Ann's giving me memberships. Oh Jesus. Oh gosh. Oh boy. Will I say fuck true scum? I'd rather not. Heyo! Goddamn Soul Life needs a talking to. So there's like a membership gift, but no one's actually claiming them. I don't know how this works, by the way, just for reference, but like, apparently there's 5 free memberships floating around. Like, just get that shit, all you gray ass bitches. I think that my true scum badge of honor is I got into an argument with Buck Angel on the internet, And Buck Angel blocked me because I called him a dumb bitch. So, you know. Maybe I didn't call him a dumb bitch. Maybe I called him something else. I called him a fuckface. You know, one of those. But anyway, that's my badge of honor on how much I hate Truce Cum. Thank you for the coverage of TYT Mods Quit and everything else. Your perspective is valuable. I appreciate it, Viting Gale. And thank you for showing up. I'm glad to poach viewers from larger networks any chance I get. And now you once a part. Now that you're a part of this, I'm gonna, you know, you're gonna like it's gonna be like a roller coaster. You know what I mean? You're gonna like your intelligence rating is just gonna go right in the sky. Boondocks Dragon, member for 2 months. Oh shiz, Wat, 2 months feels like forever. Oh shiz, and also Wat. Oh fuck, we got gifteds. I don't know who Lara Jane Grace is, so I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You've been digging the Doom speedruns? Well, I'm glad about that. Everyone go subscribe to my other channel. I'm trying to get monetized on that bitch. Help me out. Watch a video or two. All that good stuff. Yep, always use the same account. That way we don't, you know, lose track of who the hell you are. Very late? Well, I'm about to end the show. Though I said that like 30 minutes ago and I'm still here, so you never know. Soul Life. Once Soul Life told me that this motherfucking bitch was coding Grand Theft Auto San Andreas mods. Like, that puts so much into perspective. Soul Life is a capital G gamer. This motherfucker was born and raised on calling motherfuckers the R word on fucking voice chat. I guarantee you. No one, and I'm telling you, no one is going to be coding up some fucking Grand Theft Auto San Andreas mods unless they're a gamer. Capital G. Telling you. Not gonna happen. Oh boy, all 5 memberships have been distributed. I feel ready for the rest of the day. Well, I'm already done with my day. I'm going to enter the do drugs and play Fallout New Vegas portion of my day. I'm addicted. Can't stop now. I will not be here tomorrow. I was originally gonna leave the house. That's no longer happening. Some other stuff has come up, and I no longer have to do that, I guess. So, but I'm still taking tomorrow off just because I want to, and I want to enjoy my weekend because I care more about me than I do about you, and that's, you know, that's I'm just being honest with you. Like, everyone else would say the same thing in their heads, but they. You know, you might see some motherfuckers go out there and lie to you and say, I care more about you, but I care about myself. And I'm going to try to finish Fallout New Vegas this weekend. I'm telling you. Like, that game's so good. You ever notice how the Letter Hack, by the way, just so you all know, Letter Hack's first interview with me, I kickstarted this motherfucker's career. Literally, all me, taking full credit. And the Letter Hack is like the only non-member. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh. I care more about others than myself. I suggest you flip that. That's a weakness, I'm telling you. I'm not saying, like, my thing is, like, you should always care about other people, absolutely. But I have the put your mask on before you put your kid's mask on in the plane crashing scenario. That's my philosophy. Because my thing is, when you help yourself, right, it has the ripple effect of other people will see how happy you are, they will see how healthy you are, and that is more inspirational in my experience, in my opinion. That has more positive outcomes. That's just me though. Because it allows you to speak from more of a place of authority on some other stuff when trying to help others. But that's what do I think about Jesus Christ. Some dumbass bitch. That's what I think. If you want to give me money, the best way to do so is Cash App. I don't think Cash App has any fees unless I withdraw it to a bank account. So, and I can just buy shit with a cash card. So, the cash card. So it's pretty much, in my estimation. I definitely feel it, Lady Elday. I understand. Who does the letter hack think they are? I don't know, but it's not someone I really want to be affiliated with. No, I'm just kidding. I built my own gaming computers. Computers, plural? Yeah, I got a server rack, 9,000 computers. They all have the latest 4090s or whatever. I built them all myself. In fact, I actually sourced all the lithium and the cobalt, and I built the chips and the gold. I have a gold mine in my basement, so I mined the gold myself. Constructed all the circuits. No, but yes, I have constructed my own computer, if that's what you're asking. It is not a pre-built that I purchased already constructed, if that is what your actual question is. Well, you don't talk about movies or comic books, so I fucking talk about movies sometimes. Fucking sometimes. Motherfucker, don't you dare. I've been watching The Bear. Has anyone seen The Bear? Don't spoil it. I haven't seen the last episode yet. But The Bear on Hulu, I'm telling you, that's a 10 out of 10 right there. That's a great show. You gotta watch it. I like how being radical now is being healthy and educated. I mean, I think it always has been home. I think that's always been the case. John Ross is streaming in 45 minutes. Vitingale will be his guest. All right, everyone go and watch that. Do I hate anime? No, I don't hate anime. I enjoy anime. I've been watching the Demon Slayer anime. Does that count? I know it's kind of mainstream, but I also have the manga, if you can see it. It's behind the fucking Alice in Chains album, but I read the manga too. I like manga. I like manga more than I like anime in some instances. It depends though. Like Demon Slayer, for example. The anime is like 10 times better than the manga. I'm not gonna lie. And that's not typical in my opinion, but Demon Slayer's anime is great. I watch that shit when I'm on a lot of drugs, and I love seeing the pretty colors pop out of my television screen. Oh boy, man. I'm telling you. Do I like citrus? I don't like oranges. I don't like grapefruits. I don't eat grapefruits because they interact with my medication. But I like lemons and limes. I eat lemons and limes raw when I have them. I cut them up and I just eat them. So I also sometimes, you know, especially if it's organic, I like to eat the rind as well. It's very nice fibrous material. You don't like Demon Slayer? What the fuck? I know Demon Slayer's mainstream. I watch some anime. But you know. Oh, citrus is an anime. I understand. I'm a part-time weeb. You know, part-time. I'm not full-time, you know. But I'm definitely a part-time weeb for sure. I like more than anime, I like Japanese video games. I have a lot of Japanese PlayStation 1 games. For those of you that don't know, the PlayStation 1, I think it has like 3,000 or 4,000 games on it in Japan. But in North America, we only got like, I think 13 or 1,400. So if you're a retro game fan and you like the PlayStation 1, I recommend getting a Japanese console and playing Japanese PS1 games, because there's a lot of super interesting Japanese PS1 games that never made it to North America. My favorite being LSD Dream Emulator, for obvious reasons. I have a real copy of LSD Dream Emulator. I got it a long time ago. I don't know how much it costs anymore. Man, let me just look that shit up, man. I'm just curious, just for my own personal sake. In my opinion, that's a must-play game. Yo, that shit's $800 now. Jesus fucking Christ. But anyway, I collect PS1 games, and I love Japanese PS1 games. So, my favorite being LSD Dream Emulator, for, I think, very obvious reasons. But damn, I'm telling you, like, LSD Dream Emulator, it's like one of the most beautiful, like, packaging I've ever seen, because it's got, like, really nice, like, artwork in it. That's the other thing about Japanese PS1 games, is they would include a lot of extra, collectible material compared to the North American counterparts. Anyway, that's where my weebness shines, you know? Y'all motherfucking losers are watching anime. Oh, I'm gonna watch Japanese cartoons. I'm such a weeaboo. Like me, I'm importing pounds of fucking retro games made like fucking 30 years ago and then like playing them and I don't even know the language. That's me. We are not on the same level. So actually, never mind. I'm not a part-time weeb. I'm even more of a weeb than you anime fans. Y'all basic bitches are still on the anime part of being a weeb. Yeah, okay, buddy. No, I haven't played Incredible Crisis, but I've heard of it. No, my GPU's fragrance module has elapsed, unfortunately. Westerners obsessed with Japanese culture are weird. I mean, I like all kinds of culture that's not America. But I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah, like Japanese culture, I'm in. I'm down. They got pretty lights, you know, they got those pink flowers, you know. Everyone wears a mask. Hey, sign me up. Oh, fuck. Alright, y'all. Anyway, subscribe to my Doom channel. That's it. It's over. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I think you're... I got the fucking acid burps from the coffee, so just bear with me. I appreciate you for watching. I'm happy that that you watch my show. I mean, that's cool and all that. So definitely keep doing that. If you planned on not doing it, I definitely recommend doing it because this is a pretty good show. But it's over now, and you're gonna have to do something else with your life. It's over now. Yeah, that's it. It's gone. See ya. Bye bye.
Lie. Sometimes I'm a little scared or like I'm afraid of like talking to people who are outside of my range because look, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm talking to people. I'm afraid of like talking to people. I'm afraid of like talking to people. Talking. I'm afraid of like talking to people who are outside of my range.